Welcome back to What's the Obsession. This video is intended to be, well, two different videos. This is a part one of two, so it was going to be about 2 hours longer. This is half of the original concept for this one video, so this is a part one. Please leave a comment down below and let us know what you think as you watch.
Am I in trouble because I deleted his text?
You're not in trouble. Is it criminal? No.
Well, in Colorado, destruction of evidence is a felony.
Is there concern that you're hiding something? Potentially.
I'm worried about his wife. They're so little. And she's pregnant. And it's like, where's their mom?
Say hi. Say hi. Cece likes the camera. Say hi, Cece.
She loves the camera.
Say hi. Hi. She loves the camera. I don't know if you guys saw her. And then there's Bella. Say hi. We gotta get her dressed. We have a team meeting here in, I don't know what time it is, in like 45 minutes.
Go in the ocean. I mean,
Raise it up. Raise it up.
I was in a really bad place. And I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm never gonna meet him. Except.
I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me. And I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
He's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
That's the picture.
Nichol Kessinger turned out to have information that I can best describe as being a bombshell.
It's hot.
Big hug. Where is he? Where's Chris?
But not many. It's pretty short. There's like 10 or 12, and there's like a few from those days, but most of it is. Hi. Hello.
This is Tammy. Come in, Stacy.
Meet you.
There, I'm Stacy Galbraith.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
All right.
Getting through it?
Trying.
Yeah. Did you get some therapy figured out?
I'm waiting for you guys to get back to me on that, but I'm trying.
So, Weld County's just, I had to write a letter yesterday for Weld County to approve, to pay for her treatment.
Oh.
And then it's got to go through a board because it's kind of unusual.
Yeah.
Since she's not an eyewitness.
Right.
But it sounded like there was not going to be any opposition to it. It's just a process.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you go through the text messages, Tammy and probably Stacy will be there.
Okay.
So you guys know each other.
Okay.
Or if they reach out to you, you know that they're not the media.
Yeah. Can you guys give me your cards?
Yeah.
Before you leave?
I got grab you one.
Okay. I just,
Thank
now
you.
with this new phone, it's like I got so many numbers that I'm sure.
Kevin Kovac acknowledges there that Nichol Kessinger's status as a witness is a little unusual, he says, because she's not an eyewitness. What is more unusual is her status as a protected witness, and her status as a protected witness that was granted by the FBI starting on the first day that she spoke with them. And here is what District Attorney Rourke had to say about Nichol Kessinger first speaking with the authorities, and then I'm going to tell you how it really went down.
The intense media coverage leads to an unexpected tip.
Law enforcement got a phone call from a woman named Nichol Kessinger. She said that she had information and was offering to be interviewed as part of this investigation to offer up to investigators what she knew.
As you're going to see later on in this video, when we look at some of Nichol Kessinger's mind-blowing statements from her final interview with law enforcement on August 26, 2018, Nichol Kessinger tends to not really care about anyone else, not a goddamn person in the world other than herself. So I don't believe that Nichol Kessinger started singing like a bird out of the kindness of her heart, wanting to help justice, or because she cared about what happened to Shanann, certainly not, or Bella, or Celeste. So why is it Nichol Kessinger ended up speaking to law enforcement, to the FBI on that first day, on the 15th, 2 days after the murder, on that very same day that she was declared by the FBI a protected witness? Why did she talk to them? Check this out from the Discovery. It should be noted that approximately 3 hours before the polygraph was scheduled to begin at 8 a.m., I received a phone call from Anadarko Regional Security Manager Tony Husky. Husky advised me he had reviewed Chris's computer and it was possible Chris had started up a relationship with an Anadarko contracted employee. He had located emails between Chris and the contracted employee, Nichol or Nichol Kessinger. So we know that law enforcement knew about the affair at 5 a.m. on August 15th, 3 hours before the polygraph exam was about to start, and it was not until a couple hours later that Nichol Kessinger called law enforcement. If Anadarko is like any other corporation in America, then if something like this were to happen and they were to be implicating their employee in doing anything wrong, whether it be from an affair or having something to do with such an egregious crime, they would need to let that employee know immediately. So was it the fact that Tony Husky caught on to the affair between Chris Watts and Nichol Kessinger via the emails that he located that triggered Anadarko to contact Nichol Kessinger about it, that triggered Nichol Kessinger to finally go to law enforcement? I think that is more likely the case than Nichol going to law enforcement on her own volition because she has a strong conscience. Let's take a listen and go a little further.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what, when I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So you already said, but you removed text messages?
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it, and then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if you've heard all of these lies that Nichol Kessinger has told before, don't you worry, because we're just getting warmed up.
I am so out of breath.
Before we get into the stunning admissions and statements that she made in her fifth and final interview with law enforcement on August 28th, 2018, let's just briefly recall the basis of what she said to the FBI on that very first day when she met with them, the first of her 5 interviews. Remember, it was on that very same day, on August 15th, before the first of her 5 interviews ended, that the FBI decided that Nichol Kessinger will be a protected witness.
I met Chris at work, and we kind of talked in passing and then started to get to know each other. We started hanging out pretty frequently around, I want to say like the last week of June, somewhere around there. He informed me that he did have 2 kids, and he also told me that he was currently in the process of a separation from his wife. As far as I knew, that was becoming pretty finalized.
Now, one of the fundamental problems is that when Nichol Kessinger started dating Chris Watts, divorce was not on the horizon whatsoever for Shanann and Chris. Nobody was planning it. It had not been discussed, but divorce was not going to be in their future at all. I think even when Chris Watts started dating Nichol Kessinger, divorce was not in his future with his marriage to his wife, Shanann. Well, we know at least that is true because in the only email correspondence between Chris Watts and Nichol Kessinger, which all happened on June 12th, 2018, Nichol Kessinger says this to Chris Watts. I'm looking for someone to build a beautiful life with. Seems so simple, but so unrealistic sometimes. Build something similar to what you have done with your wife and those cute little girls. I do believe in karma, so out of respect for myself, you, and your family, I think it's best if we keep that friendship at work. It's only at a certain point during that relationship, 6 weeks as they tell it, did the idea of divorce become a reality. That fundamental lie that Nichol Kessinger told law enforcement from right off the bat is a lie that she had to contend with throughout all of the 5 hours upon hours of interviews with law enforcement all throughout. And I hope she's still contending with it today in her conscience. After all, as I know that y'all know, this was an absolutely horrific, egregious, unthinkable case that deserved the most earnest, hardworking investigation and investigators, and nothing but the truth from anybody who could provide a truth that might allow investigators, the families of the victims, and the world to better understand this heinous crime.
My name is Michael J. Rourke. I'm the district attorney here in Weld County, Colorado. I was the lead prosecutor on the Christopher Watts case.
And if you truly want complete justice for the victims of this case, then right here, my friend, is one of our biggest problems. And although District Attorney Rourke might not lie as much as Nichol Kessinger as it relates to this case, in fact, he certainly doesn't. I mean, she's got the record hands down on that. He does tell lies to the public, to his public, to the people that he's supposed to be serving, and the people around the world who are terrorized by this case. He tells blatant lies about what he knows about Nichol Kessinger's part in this crime, about what she knew, about what perhaps she did. Clearly, this was an attempt to just keep everyone happy so he could get his conviction, but not try or even begin to actually investigate the case, to do the work. But maybe there were also more sinister reasons for his lies.
My name is Michael J. Rourke. I'm the district attorney here in Weld County, Colorado. I was the lead prosecutor on the Christopher Watts case. Nichol Kessinger turned out to have information that I can best describe as being a bombshell.
Let's take a quick look at what it is we know that District Attorney Rourke knows about Nichol Kessinger and her role in the investigation and her role in Chris Watts' life during the time that was being investigated, which was prior to and contemporaneous to the murders of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico.
The girlfriend you referenced in court, can you give us a better idea of her role in the investigation, how forthcoming she was, and how she helped?
She originally came forward and spoke to investigators on her own volition. Prior to the time, unfortunately, that she came in and spoke with investigators, she had deleted all of the information off of her phone that had any connection between her and Chris Watts. That hampered the investigation. That hampered our ability to get that electronic digital connection between the two. She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what, when I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So you already said, but you removed text messages?
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it, and then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward?
Yes.
Okay. So just for context,
yes.
When people delete stuff off phones, usually we go, hold on a second.
No. It wasn't malicious at all. It wasn't malicious at all. He lied to me. It just hurt. Like, I had never felt like he'd ever lied to me before. And it was a big lie. I mean, right. Telling somebody that you're in the midst of a divorce and then you have a wife that has a 15-week-old baby on the way is a huge, huge thing. And I was very taken back, and it was hurt. And so at that point, I deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like, if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what it would have been. That would have been the end of it.
The information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it.
No,
You did it out of, excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him, and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking him out of my life.
Okay.
And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Okay, so I've spoken about this in a number of other videos, so I don't want to belabor the point, although it is a critical point as we are looking at the career of District Attorney Rourke, his actions as it is concerned with the Chris Watts case and the murders of Shanann, Bella Celeste, and baby Nico, and also as far as the way that he characterizes Miss Nichol Kessinger. He uses interesting words here, such as hampers the investigation, saying rather than, I don't know, she obstructs the investigation, which is a felony in Colorado, as is destruction of evidence, which we all know is a crime that Nichol Kessinger committed, as she even says so herself. It's important to know that the entire reason Nichol Kessinger gave law enforcement for deleting Chris Watts' messages and anything else having to do with him off of her phone is a complete lie. The reason that she gives them is that she did not know that Chris Watts' wife, Shanann, was pregnant. And it wasn't until Tuesday morning, the day after the murders, when she was reading the newspaper, did she find that out. I have proven time and time again on this channel, as have other people, that the fact that Nichol Kessinger did not know Shanann was pregnant prior to that Tuesday, the day after the murders, is a complete and unequivocal lie. It's just as important to know that District Attorney Rourke also must have known that the reason Nichol Kessinger gave law enforcement for deleting all of Chris Watts' information off of her phone, including call records and text messages, he also knows that's total BS, total lie. Through the course of the investigation, as it outlines in the discovery, there are several times during the time period while Nichol Kessinger was dating Chris Watts, before and after, that Nichol Kessinger Googled the name Shanann Watts, which would have brought her to Shanann Watts' Facebook page, where Shanann Watts, during the course of her pregnancy, talked many times about how excited she was to be pregnant and posted about the baby Watts-to-be in her belly at that moment. And District Attorney Rourke saw all of that. What else did District Attorney Rourke know about Nichol Kessinger as it relates to this case? Well, District Attorney Rourke knew about the information contained within Investigator Prill's summary in the discovery that precedes the official discovery timeline of the phone data extraction. Omitting some important things, but we'll talk about that later. It says, during my review of the data extracted from the phones belonging to Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, and Nichol Kessinger, certain information was learned. Agent Darren Ford conducted logical extractions of the data from the phones. In conversations with Ford, he advised that the Northern Colorado Forensic Laboratory does not possess technology to perform the physical data extractions from Apple devices. Thus, I discovered the extracted data is not inclusive of all data stored amongst the assorted applications within a given device, nor does activity involving those applications necessarily reflect in the data extracted. For example, Watts had a secret calculator application uploaded to his phone. This application, by all appearances, is an operable calculator, but when users enter a secret passcode, the application reveals its true purpose: a concealed storage device for photographs, videos, contacts, even a private browser. In mid-July 2018, Watts began transferring images from his camera application into the secret application. This activity is not reflected within the phone's timeline. Locating those transferred images proved challenging as it was predicated on mere curiosity. I searched through the images stored within the data files featured in the Celebrite report. Locating an image not highlighted in the timeline, I reviewed the path within the file information and noticed it included the words secret calculator. Using the find feature, I searched the 12,000 images stored in the phone's memory using the keyword secret calculator. I located a vast collection of images otherwise undetected during my review that are stored within this application. In the near future, a follow-up warrant will be sought. This is important, to manually search through this phone and access the secret calculator. That search will include any additional photographs or videos, any browser activity, and information related to this installation date. The last sentence in this report says, investigation continues. Please forward to the district attorney's office. End of report. Something important to understand about this report by Detective Michael Prill is that it is dated at 3:08 on 10/30/2018 or October 30th, 2018. So where was the next place this report was going to go? To the district attorney's office. And you better believe straight away. The date that Chris Watts pled guilty to the murders of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste and some additional charges with aggravating circumstances and to handle the crime in the death of baby Nico, who was not yet born, that date was November 6th, 8 days after this report was generated. Now, contained in this report generated by Detective Michael Prill, there are some important things. There is the search for Shanann Watts that heads off that timeline that certainly would have stood out boldly to District Attorney Rourke from September 1st, 2017. Well before District Attorney is aware of this, Nichol or Chris Watts claimed that they ever had met well before that time. He also would have read all of the lines, the timeline event entries that noted the various searches during the relationship span of Chris Watts and Nichol Kessinger where she had Googled Shanann's name. And he would have learned very quickly that when doing so, you would have gone to Shanann's Facebook page where she would have spoken excitedly and proudly about her family and about her baby who is still inside her belly that she was so super excited for. Baby Watts, as she called little Nico on her Facebook posts. District Attorney Rourke also would have known, because he just read it in the report, that Michael Prill anticipated on generating more search warrants to more completely search the phones for things that are hidden underneath the surface, like this hidden calculator app that he explained, took some effort to really find it, to get in there, to find the contents of it, because, well, it's supposed to be secret. And I guess for even people who know how to extract information from a phone, it still remained pretty secret if it was not for Michael Prill's commitment to finding the truth. District Attorney Rourke would have had a very clear understanding that between all of the messages and information that was deleted by Nichol Kessinger and all of the information that we now know was hidden into the depths of the cell phone of at least Chris Watts and possibly Nichol Kessinger as well, that what he did know about Nichol Kessinger was pretty damn incriminating. And what he didn't know, well, oh my gosh, there was a whole lot he didn't know. And the nature of that information must have been something interesting, because she and he, Nichol and Chris, have been trying so damn hard to conceal it.
Nichol Kessinger turned out to have information that I can best describe as being a bombshell.
Oh yeah, is that true, District Attorney Rourke? She has information that could just be described as being a bombshell. What exactly could that possibly be? We know that she was not an eyewitness because we overhear that being said during one of her interviews when there is talk between the agents from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Take a listen.
Yes.
Tammy.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Stacy Galbraith. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? All right. Getting through it. Trying. Yeah.
Stressing out.
stressing out. Yeah, you look stressed out. Did you get some therapy figured out?
I'm waiting for you guys to get back to me on that, but I'm trying.
It'll help. Yeah. Does Hazel need to?
Yeah, we're gonna see if Hazel comes in. So Weld County's just, I had to write a letter yesterday for Weld County to approve, to pay for her treatment.
Oh.
And yeah, it's gotta go through a board because it's kind of unusual.
Yeah.
Since she's not an eyewitness.
Right.
But it sounded like there was not going to be any opposition to it. It's just a process.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you go through the text messages, Tammy and probably Stacy will be there.
Okay.
So you guys know each other.
Okay.
Or if they reach out to you, you know that they're not the media.
Yeah. Can you guys give me your cards?
Yeah.
I got everyone.
Okay. I just,
Thank
and now
you.
with this new phone, it's like I got so many numbers that I'm
who had an affair with Chris Watts, told our partners at the Denver Post that she hardly knew anything about Shanann and that she had only recently started a relationship with Chris. Well, there's now evidence to suggest that she knew about Shanann almost a year before the murders.
Contact 7 investigates Jace Larson here in the studio with that part of this grim story. Jace?
Yeah, guys, police interviewed Nichol Kessinger, the other woman. She came forward to police about the same time that Watts' employer, Anna Darko, had found emails indicating a relationship between the two. This is Nichol Kessinger and Chris Watts on a secret trip together the month before he killed his family. The two took pictures and videos during their secret time together in July. Nichol later talked to police.
And then one day he told me that he had 2 kids. I was like, that's pretty cool. And started telling me about his kids.
That sounded like a sarcastic comment.
No, I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, he's a dad. It was like right around Father's Day, too.
She learned he was married even though she says he didn't wear a wedding ring.
The thing is he was never hostile. It was never anything aggressive. Like, even when he spoke of his wife and the fact that they were separating, it was never, like, ill. It was still very kind. It was just like, this is not working.
The other woman claims she met Watts in June. She says she thought Watts was at the end of his divorce proceedings.
I didn't know his significant other's name for a while. And then I think he told me his kids' names pretty quick.
But police had found her internet searches from the year before. Kessinger searched the name Shanann Watts in September of 2017.
Did he ever tell you that he loved you?
Yes, he did.
Did you ever tell him the same?
A couple times.
By this June, Watts was hiding photos in a phone app that looked like a calculator.
I mean, he just told me, he's like, we're house broke all the time. I was just like, that's unfortunate. And I asked him, I was like, do you have 401k? And he was like, yeah. And I mean, the reason I ask him this is because if I get into a relationship with somebody, I want to know, like, what kind of baggage that they have. I think that's important.
Kessinger says even looking back now, knowing she says that he lied to her, she didn't see all of this coming.
To this day, even after everything that I found out, I still look back at that and I don't see any red lights with the way that he spoke of his family.
Nichol Kessinger did cooperate with police. She says she went to them when she started suspecting that Watts was behind his family's disappearance. Guys.
Jace Larson tonight. Jace, thank you. Exclusive new interview. The woman who had an affair with a killer is speaking out just days before he's sentenced to life in prison. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Ann Trujillo, and she's talking about her romantic life with Christopher Watts, even up to the moments he confessed.
Denver 7's Jace Larson's in the studio tonight with the tales of the interview given to our news partner, the Denver Post.
Yeah, that's right. Her name is Nichol Kessinger, and this is what she looks like. She is a woman who worked in the oil business and in the same office building as Christopher Watts. For the first time tonight, Nichol Kessinger is agreeing to show her face and tell her side of the story. Kessinger says Watts first saw her in the break room, and then in mid-June, he came to her office to introduce himself. She said when he spoke to me, he was very soft-spoken. He appeared to be a good listener. Kessinger says Watts deceived her, though, never wearing a wedding ring and lying, saying he was in the final stages of a divorce. Then the next month, in July, she says they started dating, and they started seeing each other 4 or 5 times a week. He even asked her to help find an apartment, claiming he and his girls needed one after the divorce was final. He made me believe that he was doing all of the things that a rational man and a good father would do, she said. In an interview with Denver 7, Watts' parents said they had an inkling that their son was having an affair while his wife Shanann was visiting her family on the East Coast.
I think there may have been an emotional relationship prior to her leaving to come to North Carolina, and it may have progressed into something else when she was gone. I don't know anything about it. Chris didn't talk to us a lot about any of his personal life. He didn't, but you could see it. You could see it when you went down, when you went to visit.
When his family went missing and it was everywhere on the news, Kessinger says she realized he'd been lying to her, and she called the Weld County Sheriff's Office the day he was arrested. She's one of the people listed on the prosecution's witness list. I just wanted to help, she said. With a pregnant woman and 2 children missing, I was going to do anything that I could. Watts has reached a plea deal admitting that he's murdered his family, and he's set to be sentenced to life in prison on Monday. And if you're hoping that she knows why Watts did it, she says, I don't think there is a logical explanation. We mentioned that she spoke to our partners at the Denver Post. Tonight we have an early look at what the front page of tomorrow's Denver Post is going to look like. This story is front and center. You can read more of this interview. We have a link to this story posted at the
It's all really interesting, isn't it? I mean, all of the lies that District Attorney Rourke knew that Nichol Kessinger told the public, yet he has the nerve to admonish the public for asking questions, for asking legitimate questions, saying it's not a witch hunt, that anybody who is inquiring about Nichol Kessinger is on a witch hunt, implying that you're a horrible person. You're on a witch hunt. You're trying to go after somebody who hasn't done anything wrong. This is not a witch hunt. How dare he say that? How dare he? Some tend to believe, District Attorney Rourke, that the reason that you did not want anyone to know anything more about Nichol Kessinger, why you told the public who wanted to understand more about her role in everything, that this is not a witch hunt, leave me alone, and all the other things that he has said in the past about this case. Maybe the reason why you wanted to rush this case to a plea and make sure that that search warrant that Detective Michael Prill indicated in his summary of the phone extraction data, that search warrant that should be sought after to look further into the phone. You, District Attorney Rourke, wanted to make sure that search warrant was never obtained or executed. And we have to wonder why that is. We have to wonder why that is. And it might be that, well, there's a lot of reasons that could have caused him to behave in the despicable way he behaved as it relates to this case. But could it be that he didn't think that he was going to have enough to convict Chris Watts on the charges he needed to convict him on, not because he wasn't guilty? And let it be known that this channel absolutely believes that Chris Watts is where he belongs right now. Did he think he couldn't prosecute the case, not because Chris Watts isn't guilty, but because the investigation was so shoddy and shady in so many regards that he wasn't going to have enough to get that guilty verdict? Listen to District Attorney Rourke's own words in this rare interview.
I know this is hypothetical, but had Chris Watts not confessed in this case, how tight was this case? I mean, was there a lot of evidence out there? Because I know that as far as the murders, there wasn't a lot.
There was a lot of circumstantial evidence that really, I think, was strong evidence. When law enforcement shows up right at the outset, based on this call from her friend Nicole, saying, I need you to come check on the welfare of Shanann. When her car is there, her purse is there, her cell phone is there, the house is locked up from the inside in a way that no one could lock a door and run out a garage door, for example. The key code on the garage door didn't work. There was no way for a stranger to get in there, abduct them or anything else. Signal to us that it probably, at that early stage, probably was a family member, probably was the defendant. But then you start to really look at the manner in which they were killed, where their bodies were dumped, his familiarity with that area, and I think there were a lot of pieces that could be put together even without him talking, but it certainly made it a much stronger case because he ultimately did give us at least a version of what he wanted us to believe, even though we know all of it wasn't the truth.
I'm following you.
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
Within the same article in which District Attorney Rourke admits that he knows that the September 1st, 2017 search for Shanann Watts by Nichol Kessinger is not a typographical error, but rather it is in the discovery because it was found during the phone extraction review in that same article. Well, it says this. Asked if the district attorney's office questioned or planned to question Kessinger about the data suggesting she was aware of Chris and Shanann Watts for up to a year before the murders, Rourke said that Chris Watts' guilty plea precluded any need for further probe of the results of the forensic analysis of Kessinger's phone. Quote, "We did not get to the point in our investigation of attempting to independently verify that or not because Chris Watts pled guilty." From District Attorney Rourke. Wow. And then he goes on to say this investigation is closed. Huh. Wow. Wow. Our attention back to Nichol Kessinger. Remember, according to her, we are supposed to believe that, well, she deleted all of Chris Watts' texts and anything having to do with him on her phone because she just had found out the day after the murders that Shanann was pregnant, when that is virtually impossible. Huge lie, number one. I mean, there's a lot of huge lies, but, you know, for the sake of the purposes of this video, we're talking about a couple of them. And then she goes on to try to convince investigators on several occasions, from the very first of her 5 interviews with law enforcement to the very last of them, that her reason for coming forward in part was because, well, in whole, was because she was worried about Shanann and the girls. She was worried about what possibly could have happened to them. As I mentioned in the beginning, this video effort has been turned into 2 different parts. So before ending this first part, and, well, I hope you watch the second part when it comes out in just a couple days, I want you to listen to just a few things that Nichol Kessinger said to Agent Kobach in her 3rd and final interview with law enforcement as it pertains to this case, because that's what we're going to be focusing on the next video. And what she herself says as we look at the entirety of the situation and wonder what Chris Watts' motive was, what the crime's motive was, and how it came about is really quite stunning.
Can you guys help me with the name change? You like do that? I'm serious, please.
So I can't do anything for you. That's a legal process. It's really not that difficult. There's just paperwork that needs to be filled out. I think your best bet would just be to call and maybe ask an attorney to help you with that, or seek advice from, I don't even know who you'd call, honestly, but people change their name all the time when they get married, so it's probably the county clerk, but I think it would have to be at a state level to make a name change. I know it can be done, I just don't know how to do it, and I wouldn't even know who to reach out. I mean, I could find out and let you know, but I don't know how to do it. You know, like the witness protection thing is very, very rare.
I'm not expecting that.
Yes.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going to hurt you, all those things. So.
No, I'm not expecting that. I don't even know. Like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to do it now, and I'm like, why? See, she's all upset because I asked her to not talk to the media, and it happened to be the day that her dad died, and I'm sitting here trying to comfort her.
Okay.
But then she brought it up again last night, but she didn't
brought up what?
That case, but she didn't like connect the dots. She was like freaking out, like her dad just died. And she was really upset. She wanted me to come see her on Saturday because it's his wedding.
So unexpected?
Kind of, sort of. He had Parkinson's, so kind of, but not. You know what I'm saying? It was a very drawn out thing. But she's having a really hard time with it. I knew she would, and she's like, can you make the wake on Saturday? And I was like, I'm really hesitant to leave the house, and I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I don't know, I'll try, and I'm gonna go, but I'm not gonna tell her until it's like right before I have to be there. And she
so what did she reference that? Just is Chris the guy? I'm more interested.
No, she didn't even ask me if she was just like, she's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, you can just eat it.
Okay. So you mentioned on your text before you were coming that there was other information that you thought of that was important again?
Yeah.
More info?
You and me get so sidetracked.
I'll look at this when you do that, and then
I'll show you where it is.
Yeah,
There's
show me
so
where it
much in here. Like, I will just say.
you guys talk a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Is this your best friend?
Yes. This girl is like my whole world.
All right. But you're not talking about children or your relationship with Chris or anything like that?
No, the only time I ever mentioned him was like that one day.
Okay.
And I didn't even remember that I even had like said that to her because I just.
What's her phone number?
And she apologized to me like because she was being kind of crazy last night. She was.
So tell me about the new info that you remembered.
I don't care if your job is having an open investigation. I'm not going to ask you a single question, but my pop's died and you're my best friend.
Okay.
And I said, please stop talking about that. And she said, what do you want, house arrest? And she just keeps saying, my father died, what the fuck? She was not okay last night, and I was just trying to, like,
understandable,
mitigate this. And I was, like, trying to calm her down. And I said, Charlotte, I'm trying so hard to be the best friend I can to you right now. I said, I want to talk to you about that case. I didn't say the case. I said that case. Like, I wasn't even affiliated with it at all, and you need to respect that. I'm here for you regarding your dad, and you know this. And then she's freaking out. I'm freaking out.
You guys never had a conversation except for this past text messages about Chris and his children.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was, yeah, see, and she keeps trying to talk about it. She says, if you're not under investigation by the police, I don't care. Why can't you attend your so-called best friend's father's death? It doesn't make sense to me. And all I told her was stop.
And then
she
just
like,
her dad.
Yeah, and she just is like freaking out. And finally, I just told her, you know, getting mad at me isn't going to bring your dad back. And she apologized to me this morning for being drunk and sad and angry that her dad died.
What other new information?